Good afternoon, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Saturday, September 4th, around 5:40 p.m. in Billerica, Massachusetts. Been cloudy most of the day, highs around 60 or so, and it's been spitting rain for most of the day. And we're going to get some rain showers tonight. Some news to report, big news coming out of the camp of the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins have traded defenseman Johnny Boychuk to the New York Islanders for 2 draft picks. The Bruins needed to trade somebody because of the contracts with Torrey Klug and Riley Smith, and those contracts put the Bruins over the salary cap. So just to cut down from going over the salary cap, they had to trade a player. Boychuk was the one to go, and it's disappointing because Boychuk's a good player, and the Bruins are going to miss him. And I wish they could have traded somebody else like Daniel Pye or Chris Kelly or Gregory Campbell, but it had to be Boychuk because he's making over $3 million a year. It's too bad. Good luck to Boychuk in the New York Islanders. And today I went to the Lowell Open Studio Arts Festival. Some impressive work of art that I saw there. A lot of people who are talented with all the talents of like drawings, painting, sculptures, anything you want, sandpaper, watercolors, etc., etc. It's great time. Lowell's becoming a destination for artists. And that's about it on that. My next subject is about a classic television game show that ran for over 30 years, and it aired in 6 different decades: 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. It was one of the most famous panel game shows of all time, To Tell the Truth, and it was created by Bob Stewart and produced by Goodson Todman. And To Tell the Truth was kind of a variation of What's My Line? It first made its debut in December 18th, 1956 in primetime on CBS, and it was hosted by Bud Collyer. And the premise of To Tell the Truth was there was one person, and there were 3 people who say they were one person, and this person who they did something very fun, famous, could be heroic or maybe embarrassing or funny, and the panel had to determine which one of these 3 people was the real one. And the panel on the show during the years in the CBS primetime version was Tom Poston, Peggy Cass, Orson Bean, Kitty Carlisle, and Bert Convy were like the panelists during the CBS primetime version and the CBS daytime version. And they had like every celebrity had like 2 to 3 minutes of questioning of this person, and once it's time to vote, they had to vote for number 1, number 2, number 3. If each time that they stumped the panel for the false identification, they would get $50 if they stumped all of them, and they would get like $500. And then at the end of the round, the host Bud Collyer would say, "Will the real such and such stand up?" And they stand up, and the other 2, they tell them what their real name and what do they do. And most of the people, what they do, look like common people and stuff. And this was a primetime hit for CBS. It lasted 12 years in primetime. The last primetime episode of To Tell the Truth was May 22nd, 1967, and usually ranked up there in the top 30 of shows, reached the top 10 a couple of times, became so popular, they spun off a CBS daytime version, which started on June 18th, 1962 to September 6th, 1968, and it was one of the top game shows on daytime television, but CBS abruptly canceled it in September 1968 because they were clearing their schedule for daytime game shows, and To Tell the Truth was the last daytime game show on CBS television for 4 years. But this show, To Tell the Truth, couldn't sit idle for long, and there was a syndicated version of To Tell the Truth that started in September 1969. It was hosted by Gary Moore, who previously hosted a Goodson Todman game show, I've Got a Secret, for about 12 years, and he hosted it for about 8 years in syndication, and there was like some changes, like the set was kind of, the first 3 years was kind of like a thing that was in the 60s, early 70s type of, kind of a groovy type of set, and they had a new theme song about To Tell the Truth, and I can't sing it, I don't know it right now, but do 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 do. That's the theme song. I'm humming it. I don't know the lyrics, and on the on the panel for To Tell the Truth, the syndicated version, they had like Kelly Carlisle and Peggy Cass back, and also they had Bill Cullen, who hosted game shows in New York, so he was on the panel. The fourth one was kind of rotating. Sometimes they would have Orson Bean or Bert Convy or Gene Rabin, and eventually they had like a special celebrity, I think Joe Garagiola, in the middle of the 1976-77 season. Gary Moore left as host To Tell the Truth for several months because he had throat cancer, and Bill Cullen and Joe Garagiola filled in for him. And at the beginning of the 1977-78 season, Gary Moore retired, and he handed it off to Joe Garagiola to host it, but it did not last more than a year. Got canceled after 9 seasons. The syndicated version of To Tell the Truth was shown in Boston on Channel 5, but To Tell the Truth did not sit idle for long. Two years later, Goodson Todman produced another version of To Tell the Truth. It was hosted by Canadian actor Robin Ward, and this time they did not have like regular panelists. It was a rotating thing, but on occasion Peggy Cass and Kitty Carlisle were on it from time to time, but they weren't on it regularly. And there was a new segment of To Tell the Truth after the end, because they played 2 games. After the end of the second game, they had a one-on-one segment with the 4 imposters who weren't the real person, and the celebrity. There was a question saying which one of these 4 imposters did the story, and they had to guess which one. If not, then it was like they won $1,000. But this To Tell the Truth version did not last more than a year. Was seen in Boston, WLVI TV 56, and To Tell the Truth was one of the last New York-based game shows until 1999, and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It would be another 10 years for To Tell the Truth before it would get revived. It was revived as a daytime version on NBC. It lasted from September 3rd, 1990 to May 31st, 1991 on NBC Daytime, but this version of To Tell the Truth was kind of cursed from the start, because the East Coast and the Central Coast NBC affiliates accidentally got to saw the pilot episode of To Tell the Truth, hosted by actor Richard Klein, and it was mistakenly shown for those NBC stations in the East Coast and Central time zone, and that showed you that this show probably wasn't going to be a big hit. And it went through at least 3 hosts. The first host was Gordon Elliott. He hosted To Tell the Truth for about 8 weeks, but he abruptly left at the end of October 1990 because he could not appear on another television show, because he previously was a reporter of a current affair, and he left the current affair to host To Tell the Truth, but current affair said that he could not appear on any television show for X amount of days, and they found that out and they enforced the contract, so he had to leave. And then NFL Hall of Fame wide receiver Lynn Swann of the Pittsburgh Steelers hosted To Tell the Truth for about 2.5 months, but he had commitments from ABC Sports that interfered with the taping schedule, so he had to drop out, and then Alex Trebek hosted it from, I think, mid-January 1991 to the end of it, 9 months. This version of To Tell the Truth kind of had not a regular panel. Once in a while, Kitty Carlisle would be showed up, and Peggy Cass and Orson Bean, but the ratings weren't that great, and it faced off against, on CBS, The Price is Right. They weren't going to be a big hit, and for the next 9 years, To Tell the Truth sat on the sidelines again, waiting to be remade, and it was remade in the year 2000 and was hosted by John O'Hurley in syndication. It lasted 1.5 years in syndication, and it had like a panel on it with Meshach Taylor and Paula Poundstone as regular panelists, and they had other celebrities, and this syndicated version was okay, but it did not get a higher than the 2 rating, and that syndicated version was seen in Boston, WSBK TV 38. Some of the most famous people were subjects on To Tell the Truth over the years. Alan Freed, John Barrow, Carol Spinley, Alan Haley, Ali Sheen, Oliver Redenbacher, The Fabulous Moolah, Larry King, Tony La Russa, Hank Ketchum, Willie Ames, Patty Stranger, and many, many others. And there was actually some celebrities who appeared as imposters. Some of the celebrities who appeared as imposters were Soupy Sales, Bill Todman, Henry Morgan, Joe Gagliolo Jr., Christopher Hewitt, and Rip Taylor, among others, and also a young Anderson Cooper was an imposter on To Tell the Truth when he was 9 years old back in 1977, and reruns of To Tell the Truth were seen on the game show network for many years, the original black and white version, and the CBS daytime version from the late 60s, I think, when it started to go into color in September 1966 through September 1968, and then they showed all of the syndicated versions, 1969 through 1978, 1980, 1990, and the 2000s. There's rumors that a new To Tell the Truth might be revived in the near future, and I would not be surprised if GSN considers making To Tell the Truth revival. It's an easy show to do, and you would have to get a good cast, though, a good panel. You can't get like Kitty Carlisle or Peggy Cass, because both of them have passed away, and Orson Bean's retired from show business, but there's a good cast out there and stuff like that, and I think, and To Tell the Truth ranks up there probably as one of the top 5 game shows of all time produced by Mark Goodson and Bill Todman. I think it's the number 3 greatest panel show of all time, behind What's My Line, I Got a Secret, and To Tell the Truth. Goodson Todman was the masters of producing game shows, and they were the masters of producing the panel game show. And that's about it on that. I'll be back later on for my 3rd and final video blog of the night. It will be about the Hockey Hall of Famer, Johnny Bucyk, the Chief. Goodbye, everybody. See you tonight.